microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
Hello, and welcome back to the You, Me, and the Scene podcast, brought to you by Revival Recordings. We are back for season 2. New year, new season. This is episode 20 to be aired on this coming Monday, January 22nd. So we're very excited to be back. We took a little holiday break, and I mean, the scene in general, music scene kind of shuts down a little bit for the holidays, and during the winter is a little less busy. But we have a lot to catch up on in those few weeks.
We had the holiday, and then we were going to record and said, oh, none of us have it together this week. Let's just do it next week.
Yes.
It's getting back to reality after the holidays that really you need like another mental break.
Yeah, it takes a while. Yeah. Like, I feel like especially as adults that had to be doing
especially as adults who don't work face to face with each other and having to really get up by yourself and accomplish deadlines on your own, and it's not the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, we're all just struggling over here is basically what we're saying. But we're happy to be back recording. We're excited. A lot of things have happened in the scene. We have revival updates. We have life updates, just jump right into it. I know.
Oh, we have, I could totally cut this out if you don't want to talk about it, but Courtney got engaged while we were gone.
Oh, I'm not even wearing my ring right now. But yeah! I have to get it revised.
Oh,
wait, I'm gonna go put it on. I'm gonna go put it on. Hold on. I have to get it resized, and so I keep putting like the little plastic thing that sits under
the spacer,
so it doesn't move.
Yeah,
because otherwise, when I'm typing and stuff, it just like goes around and it's annoying. So
yeah, I have no idea what my ring size is, so maybe I should get on that at some point in my adult life.
Just go to like O'K's or something, and just be like, I'm just looking for myself. They have the rings. I'll put it on it.
I'd have really sweaty hands though, and I don't want a stranger to touch my hands. If you ever see me on tour or in public or anything, don't give me a high five. I have really sweaty hands, and it's not pleasant. But
can't confirm.
Anyway,
can't confirm. I don't know.
But anyways,
I've never held Haley's hand.
No. Or high five.
Courtney got engaged.
Wow.
So, well, anyways, Courtney got engaged.
And of course, we came in on brand with the Black Diamond, guys.
Black diamonds.
It's a really
our
beautiful
emo
ring.
little hearts.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh,
Did you know it was coming?
Yes, I picked out this ring.
But did you know he was going to propose when he did?
I didn't know when it was coming. I knew there was a ring bought, but the day was a surprise. So.
Oh, well, good.
Yes, but
good for you.
It was very exciting. So
all the planning to go in.
Have planned absolutely nothing yet, so it gives me anxiety thinking about it.
Is it going to be this year or next year?
2025. Yeah.
Nice. You have plenty of time.
Yeah.
No need to stress at all. You have plenty of time. People pull things together in like 2 months, and you'll be able to.
Yeah, those people are insane. No. So yeah, but we'll see. We're now that the holidays are over and stuff, we're getting into sitting down and going over stuff. So it'll get there eventually. It only took 8.5 years to get the ring, so it might take that long to get the wedding. Who knows?
Hey.
We'll see. We'll see. But yes, that's on the personal front, little life update. And I don't know, did anybody else have any exciting things happen?
Just a lot of unfortunate circumstances.
Oh, that's not exciting though.
No, I got New Year's Eve. I had 101 degree fever, and I had the flu for like the first week of 2024. So whoever put a hex on me, whatever.
Yeah,
but, you know,
I had the flu last fall, and it was the sickest I've ever been in my life.
I've heard it's bad.
I've had mono, I've had COVID, I've had all of it. I've never been as sick as I was with the flu last year. It was so bad.
Man.
So, my sympathies to you.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I had like every single symptom that's listed on the flu. I had all of them for like 5 days straight. Like, getting up and peeing was like exhausting to do, that I'd immediately like come back and fall back asleep. Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it knocked me out.
Hopefully it stays out of my house. Stay out of my house, flu.
I know. I do not claim this energy.
And then it caused me to have bronchitis after, and during my bronchitis I was coughing so hard that I like fractured or sprained my rib or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you guys remember that last year. And I heard my rib pop. Like, I heard it happen in the moment. And then you have bronchitis, so you can't stop coughing. So you're still just in pain because you're coughing, and it's just every time you cough, it's hitting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything to fix it. So, we're starting this podcast off on a strong note.
Speaking of things from last year, we all had wrap-up playlists that we posted for Revival for the end of the year.
Oh, that's right.
I only really wanted to talk about this because I feel like I owed an explanation for a very specific part of mine. We did 23 songs for 2023, and I put them in these two songs in a specific order for a reason. First of all, I watched a lot of Seinfeld this year. I kept it on in the background 24/7. I watched it all the way through at least 10 times over. And I fall asleep to it at night. But I put My Prerogative by... Who sings that song? It's not Britney Spears. Originally, I realized this because of the Britney Spears version, but I realized I already knew the Britney Spears version is a cover of a Bobby Brown song. I put the Bobby Brown version, on my playlist, and then the following song is the Seinfeld theme song. But it's because I realized that the song that plays at the end of Seinfeld is the same exact melody as My Prerogative. Really? Play the songs at the same time, or maybe I'll insert a clip, or I'll say that and then I'll go and listen to them and try to cut them together in a video and then be like, no one's gonna hear what I'm hearing. But that's why those two songs are on my playlist, and I think about it at least twice a day that these two melodies are the same. Anyway.
I feel like this year this past playlist was the easiest for me to put together. And I don't know why, because they keep getting longer because the years keep going by.
Yeah.
But it actually was an easier year for me to put them together. Sometimes I struggle. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to put on this playlist?
Yeah, suddenly you're like, what do I listen to all the time?
Right.
I think this, speaking of Wrapped and wrap-ups and stuff, on my Spotify Wrapped, I think this is the longest, like the most listening time I've had in a long time. I think I had like 42,000 minutes or something like that, which a lot of the time is just one specific podcast that I listen to. But I get burnt out on listening to new music because when we do it for A&R, when you monetize all your hobbies, they start to not be fun anymore. Yeah. And I did use a lot of like repeat songs. I pulled a lot of my songs of the week, and we did tour playlists for all of Alisana and like crew and stuff, and I used a couple of those songs. But it definitely was easier this time. I think I listened to more music this year. Also haven't pitched as many bands this year, but neither here nor there.
See, that's funny because this was the hardest year for me to pick music, I feel like. But I feel like I always try and make mine only songs that were released in that year. And I know some people just throw. So I'm like, because otherwise
I listen to too much NSYNC for that.
Yeah. Same thing. So I try like my favorite songs from the past year, just to kind of narrow it. Try not to add too much Taylor Swift, even though she keeps just putting out multiple albums a year. So you guys just get stuck with it. But
I know.
But
I'm trying to
good
think
mix.
about like through this podcast, what my songs of the week are. I'm like, so like, am I going to repeat one eventually? Because I forget that I've done them as my song of the week. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. I was actually very excited about my song of the week for this week because it's a little out of the vein of what I usually listen to, but at the same time, you'll see when we get there. But I very much relate to, I tend to listen to the same 3 to 4 records over and over again, and I'm a creature of habit.
It's a must.
Hamster on a wheel at this point. So.
What is life?
I'm having a very
feel like
existential
we're about to-
crisis day.
I feel like we're about to break into like the Hamlet thing, like to be or not to be.
Was there anything surprising on your guys' Spotify Wrapped? I wanted to talk about that. The only thing I was surprised by was the amount of minutes. It was the same, like, I listen to like an insane amount of Fall Out Boy, but it's only because I listen to From Under the Cork Tree on repeat most of the time. That's one of my like holy grail no skips, absolutely no bad songs on this albums. But usually it's the same bands that it usually is.
Yeah, I don't think I was surprised by anything. I mean, I kind of assumed that my number of minutes would be low, but that's also because I listen to Andrew's Spotify so much too, that like when we're traveling and on the road, we listen to his Spotify. And so I was like, by the end of the year, I was like, well, my number is going to be low, but because I'm not listening to mine all the time. But I don't think anybody like surprised me as far as the artist goes.
Yeah, mine were pretty standard. I'm trying to remember. Obviously, Taylor Swift was on there. I think Pierce the Veil was on there.
I called out Andrew
Pierce the
on
Veil
one
was
of
on mine
his.
too. Kelsey Ballerini
What
was
was
on
it?
there because of her album last year.
I told him his number one artist. I told him what I thought his number one artist was going to be, and it was in fact that. And it was, you guys aren't going to like it.
It's
It was
embarrassing.
Morgan Wallen.
Oh. Oh, Andrew.
We've been over
He likes
this.
that album.
I think
know.
we've talked about this on the podcast.
we have. I can't
he
remember
likes
if we
the
cut it
album.
out or not, but we did.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't remember if we were like actually recording.
I don't think we.
You know.
I don't think we kept it, but just for your information, he likes the album. He hasn't listened to it. In a
I don't
while,
think
but
he's untalented, but
Yeah.
No, he got into like a whole thing, and I'm like, is this your new? Are you country now? What is happening?
who are you?
Oh gosh.
Oh, God. Yeah. Pretty standard for me across the board. I did think Fleetwood Mac was going to be on mine, but on my top artists, but they weren't. So I was surprised.
As far as I've been listening to a lot of like, and I guess this is we're only like 17 days. It's the 17th when we're recording this. We're only 17 days into January, but towards the end of last year when I started dating my boyfriend and now, between those times, I've been listening to a lot of the music that he listens to because we just do like a Spotify blend. So I've been listening to a lot of like indie pop stuff. I really love Chapel Roan. And stuff which like, not that I didn't like that stuff before, but it feels...
You weren't like seeking it out.
Right. And I was about to... I would stop myself because it makes me sound like a douchebag. But it feels nice to enjoy a music genre that is more widely enjoyed in the mainstream. So
It makes sense.
Have a more relatable time sometimes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, because a lot of times, I'll, be at the doctor's office and they're like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I work for a record label. And they're like, oh, anybody I know? And I'm like, no. I get it.
Yeah.
You don't know anybody.
My doctor's office just has me written down as musician. Because they're like, oh, what do you do for work? And I'm like, well, I work for a record label. And they're like, oh, you make music? I'm like, no, I work for people that make music, and like I have to explain how I tour, but I'm not in a band. And they're just like, I'm just gonna put you're a musician. I'm like, okay. You could also put I'm a barista, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. Whichever floats your boat.
I was gonna say, I feel like my Spotify is always like, if there's new albums or something that came out specifically, because that was like all of them, like Kelsey Ballerini, Pierce the Veil, just because like the ADHD, it's like the second it comes out, it's on repeat for like 3 weeks straight, and then it's like nothing else but that, so it really amps up the plays there.
What do you think your favorite new album of 2023 was?
Oh, me, hands down, was Hot Mulligan. Why Watch.
Nice.
I love that album. I remember because you talked about it with the guys from Emo Night on that episode.
Yeah.
I love the album. I still have to skip over that one song that's about his dead cat or dog or whatever dead pet it was. Still have only listened to that song once, and I will probably never listen to it again, but the rest of the album is very good.
Oh, man.
I think Kelsey Ballerini's Rolling Up the Welcome Mat is probably my top of 2023. Like,
that was
like,
that was the one with like
so
the movie kind of like feel to it.
With it, yeah, just it was so good.
It was a good concept.
That on repeat forever, and obviously like Taylor Swift, but they were both that came out this past year were both re-recordings, so it's like not really count those.
But they are different
songs,
from.
Yeah, they're different, and they have their extra songs, but as a whole album, it's like mostly
right.
What about you, Haley?
Yeah, I'd say mine probably was The Surface by Beartooth. There's a lot of really good songs on there. Specifically, I really like I Was Alive. It's their last song on the album, and it's just a really good like message in it. And most of the time, it's hard to find an album, and I'm sure you guys can relate that you can watch, listen all the way through. You don't skip a song necessarily or anything for any reason. But this one is actually one that I listen through all the way. I don't usually skip the songs, although the last song is my favorite one.
That was another thing making these end of year playlists is I've said before on the podcast that I think that albums should be listened to all the way through at least once when they come out.
In the order that it's supposed to be.
An artist intend it to be listened to that way. That's why they come out with the track list that way. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, especially if they're concepts, obviously concepts have a flow to them, a la Santa. But most of the time they're not necessarily concepts, but they're meant to be. They put them in that order for specific reasons.
Yeah. I think like even when they're not full concepts, like there's still just kind of a story flow regardless. Like
there's definitely thought put into it at least.
Yeah.
When I used to work, like I've said, I've worked in a recording studio and seeing how bands not debate, but like how bands discuss thematically how they want a full record to be. Like it matters to a lot of musicians when they do that. So
right. Well, enough about 2023. Let's talk about 2024.
2024. And
we're here.
Kick off. You want to segue into new music? Bring Me the Horizon put out new music during our little hiatus. I like the song Kool-Aid. I don't know about you guys.
I haven't listened to it yet.
You haven't? Okay. It's going back to their
the harder stuff.
Yeah.
Which
I
like listen to it.
Gonna go.
I have to listen to it.
I find I haven't seen them. I don't know if I've ever seen them live, and if I have, it was at like a Warped Tour or like a festival.
It's the only time I've seen them.
I only saw like part of it. But I've seen clips, especially on TikTok, of them playing, and their shows are like high awesome. Production level. Like
they're insane.
There's a lot of bands that like. I didn't realize some bands have like dancers and shit, and like Ice Nine Kills as like actors and like these full productions.
That was the first time I saw Bring Me the Horizon. It was like years ago, but it was out in San Diego, and Brandon was out visiting, and he we're sitting there, and all of a sudden they had dancers on this, like background dancers, and I was like, it's the first time I've ever seen like a band in the scene having background dancers. Like, it was so weird, but it was like cool. It's like, oh, but they do a lot of visuals. Like,
where he was like talking to like the robot lady on the screen, and it's this whole like AI theme, and which honestly makes me uncomfortable in general. So that whole thematic, it's like watching a zombie movie to me whenever bands do this shtick, and I'm like, it makes me, I don't like it. But it's still very cool.
So, but it's like great because it's no matter whether they're like kind of the opener, because they opened for Fall Out Boy at Fenway over the summer and stuff, they still bring all that, like they're still bringing all that and bring the show no matter whether they're having it or opening it. So I always love what they do. All their computer
I
stuff is
appreciate
cool.
that they're going back to their roots a little bit, but also not all the way.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I think Sempiternal was really a sweet spot for me as far as the kind of music that they put out.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of inching back that way a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So, didn't they lose a member?
Yes. So Jordan Fish has left Bring Me the Horizon. I don't think it was like, I think some people thought it was going to be very like drama, like it was a drama thing or like something happened. I don't feel that that's the situation. I mean, I don't know these people, but I think I know he's done interviews in the past and just talking about how he wanted to take more of a songwriting, like not just Ollie doing all the songwriting for the band and stuff, and wanted, because he had like just different topics and stuff he wanted to be singing about. So I think that's just where he's going. I think he just wants to focus on songwriting, whether it's for other bands or not. I did see something, I didn't look too much into it, of him being in the studio with Spirit Box. So I don't know what he's doing there. I just saw it briefly, but so I think he's just going to be working more in the scene on that, like producing, songwriting aspect.
Yeah,
But,
Bring Me the Horizon wasn't really one of those bands that I like had any attachment to any specific member or anything.
Yeah,
He's been in it since the beginning, or
no? I think he's been in it for like 10 years, though. I want to say.
okay, so a long time.
A long time, but not an original member. I don't think.
Right, makes sense.
Anyone can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but
I'm sure they
But
will.
I think I agree with what you're saying, though, Amanda. Like, I think you have like the Fall Out Boys and stuff like that, where every member, and like if you lost one of them, like that'd be like,
yeah,
what are you doing? But
I'm sure that
Bring Me the Horizon
is
that to somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to somebody.
But not
For
me.
sure, not me. I mean, they're one of my favorite bands, but I'm an Ollie Sykes girl, so that's what I focus on.
That's something
gosh.
I've noticed getting older is I don't like bands that I have discovered like post being a teenager. I don't really ever learn who the members are
Or their birthdays, or where they're from, or everything they've ever done.
Hey,
back when we were younger, and we'd be like, I know
it's
more
not
about
my
them than
fault.
you.
It's not my fault that Frank Iero's birthday is Halloween. It's just easy to remember, okay?
Literally, I used to like. I feel like that's always me. It's like I've always kind of like not known everything, and then you'd always have those people that are like, well, name all the band members, name this if you're such a fan, and I'm like, I don't know, I have a bad brain.
You know what's kind of funny? I have a vivid memory of going to my first Alisana show when I was 13, and a dude in the crowd doing that to me. Like grilling me and my friend who I was with about like they were touring off. It was like the anniversary. They did like one of those sets where they were playing all of On Frail Wings of Vanity and Wax, and he was like, "Well, do you know what this song's about, or what mythology thing this song's about?" And I was just like, "Well, I didn't."
Dude, I'm just here
to
to enjoy the music, dude. Thanks.
Yeah. If I was 13 and just freaked out that a stranger was talking to me, and I didn't have, it was before I was the, you know, snarky, sarcastic asshole I am today, so I didn't really have any comebacks, but don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Mm-mm.
It's the
Not at
like
all.
name 3 songs of the band on your shirt guy. Shut up. Just shut up.
I mean, I think in a young, when you're young, you develop more obsessions than when you're older. When you're older, you kind of
You have more brain
Yeah,
capacity
you
when
have-
you're a kid.
you have yeah, that's true. And you're not focused on all the other things that are going on
Like
in
needing
life and
to survive as an adult. Yeah.
Right.
Money.
Late stage
I don't have-
capitalism, you know.
Yeah. The
I don't have the
economy.
extra brain capacity to know all there is to
Yeah.
know about, Beartooth and
Yeah.
what they eat
My
and all that.
my
kind of
brain
stuff.
is a very day-to-day functioning.
Yeah.
My brain, I wake up and look at the schedule for the day, and if it's past that, I can't think about it.
You know how people say that their mind is a steel trap? Mine is more like, you know that Pokemon Ditto? That's just like a ball of
Yeah.
goo. That's more what my mind's like.
Yeah,
Is that the?
Oh
Am I
my.
thinking of this
Gotcha.
the right one? The purple blobby one?
I think so. Yeah.
A
I'm not a
Ditto?
huge Pokemon, but I think
I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go. By the way, add me on Pokemon Go. Let me just double check that I'm thinking of the right thing before.
Yes, you are.
Okay,
I just looked.
that is what my brain looks like specifically.
Just a
But
purple
speaking of my
blob.
brain being goo, I'm trying to run down other scene updates that we were going to talk about.
Oh, so also
The Paramore.
Everyone's been losing their shit over Paramore lately.
Yeah.
Because they were interviewed and said something about their contractual obligations with, I think, Atlantic or Warner. I think it's Warner.
I think it's Warner. I'll double check.
Regardless,
Yeah.
their contract was up with their label, and
Uh-huh.
quote, the future of the band has some level of uncertainty or something. Paramore's not breaking up, and I never thought that they were breaking up. They just said that their contract's up and then wiped their socials, which, if they were breaking up, I don't think they're gonna wipe their socials.
I think
No.
the wiping of the socials is more jarring for fans than the probably, but in tandem with the quotes, then it probably makes a lot of the fans.
Yeah.
But I mean, contractually, I mean, if you're done with a contract with a label, then you can either negotiate a new contract, or you can be independent, or you can find another label home. It's not a big deal.
Right.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was they said all that stuff about their contract being up, and then they dropped off of their following festival appearance, which I
Yes.
don't think was related to the contract stuff, because they
Yeah.
would have known when their contract would be up when they
Before
started
that.
this album cycle.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they would have committed to the festival when they already knew that their contract was going to be up. So I don't think those two things are related. But
Mm-mm.
when we were going to record last week, this
Sorry.
hadn't happened yet. A24 put out the Talking Heads re-release for Stop Making
Mhm.
Sense, because it was the 40th anniversary of the original release of the concert movie. So now A24 is also putting out a tribute record that is featuring Paramore.
Yes. And
Right.
so there's two things, because is A24 having a label now?
So that's what I was having a little bit of a
That's-
spiral about
yeah.
before we got on. So when I looked up A24 on Discogs, it says it's an imprint, and when you look it up, it's just all the music that's from their movies. And I think that since A24 put out the Stop Making Sense movie, that this tribute album is an extension of the movie. So I don't think that Paramore is now signed to A24, is what I'm
No,
getting
I
at.
wouldn't. Yeah. No, I don't think that is the case either. I think that because they, like you said, because they have not necessarily the rights, but they put out the movie and stuff, then they're partnering with, it's more of a partnership, probably more so than a any kind of label signing.
I saw a few people, as far as Paramore's future goes, a couple people on TikTok were like, are they going to pull a Taylor Swift where they re-record all their music? But I always thought that Taylor Swift's situation was specifically because of one specific person owning her masters. And I wouldn't think that Paramore, I don't know what Paramore's relationship with their label was like, but I don't think it was something to the extent where they would want to re-release all of their music that they've already done.
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't know how much of their music they own. Taylor's was a whole different ball game. Because, you know, she signed this contract when she was 15 and it was not a great contract. And so
wasn't Hayley Williams super young when she signed?
Was she the same? Was she that young?
She was, when Paramore's first record came out, she was 15.
Was she?
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
15 or 16.
I didn't realize it. I like understand that she's like kind of my age. Like I think she's like a year or two older. But
Yeah,
just, like,
she's only a couple.
But like
older.
Thinking about it in my head at that age that we were listening to it, I didn't I think comprehend at that time that she was like,
right. But still,
age.
I don't think they haven't alluded. I feel like people kind of
issues.
assume that whenever a band says that their contract is up, that means there was bad blood, which there totally could have been, and sometimes there is. But I think, at least in this context, when they say that their contractual obligations are fulfilled, that just is face value.
Yeah.
People just automatically assume that it's going to be this big dramatic, like, well, now I'm going to re-record all my music and own all my music, which...
Yeah. Because, I mean, it could have been a situation that the label offered them something to stay with them, and they were just
which I'm sure they did.
Yeah, just like either they just didn't want that offer, or like they wanted to do it. I mean, I think when you're that size of a band, yes, you can go do it yourself.
You don't need a label at that point.
You don't need one. Do you feel like it is a little like when you're... I feel like there's an in-between where DIY is like solid, and then there's a point where you're like so big where it's like...
Yeah, like I think people see like a band like says, I'm going independent, right? From away from a label. They're not doing all the work themselves still. They have a whole team.
Yeah, they still have a team.
Them. Yeah. It's just not under a label umbrella.
Name.
And
right, which is why
certain restrictions or whatever.
I think Paramore's just going to be independent. I think it would be cool if Paramore had their own label and signed smaller artists.
Do they know what they're getting themselves into?
Right?
What, it isn't fun every single day?
I was just watching all this unfold on TikTok and seeing people like fully
meltdown,
talk out of their ass and like spiral, like Paramore's breaking up, Paramore's re-recording their music, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, everybody relax. They're just have put out X amount of albums and will probably still put out albums, just in different circumstances.
Yeah.
And even if they don't put out new music for like whatever, I don't think they would quote unquote break up as a band. I think they just would release something for a while.
I mean, they've gone on hiatuses before, right?
Yeah, it's just there could be a lot of things.
By the time we upload this, maybe they will have done something, because that tends to happen a lot, where the day that we talk about something, it updates in the like 4 days that I have to edit the episode. So
we're just putting it out into the universe, you know? Give us answers.
Ms. Williams, I swear to God. Just give me 4 days. Let me get the podcast out.
No, I mean, like, I feel like when bands do this, unless like there are rumblings of like drama, it's just like, oh, they might just be going. I mean, we've seen bands wipe their socials all the time because they just like are starting a new project or going in a different direction or do it, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't think the wiping the socials is ever like that dramatic.
Speaking of wiping socials, Sleep Token.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Good segue there.
Yeah, somebody doxed Sleep Token, basically.
Oof.
Yeah.
And by doxed Sleep Token, I mean somebody in a server, a alleged fan in a server, bought their birth certificates and posted
know
their
how you do that.
addresses. Right?
I wouldn't even know how to buy my own birth certificate if I lost it.
Yeah, I don't know where my birth certificate is, frankly.
See, I know all
But-
those things. Sorry, guys. I don't like those
That's why you-
Haley
Haley
has my birth certificate.
Haley has all my legal documentation. Thank you. Stored.
And then so somebody posted this personal information about Sleep Token, and then a bunch of the members deleted their social media. I don't know which members, because obviously none of them use their real names, so I have a hard time keeping straight who's who, because there's a whole
Right.
lore thing, and they're all wearing masks and stuff, but members deleted their socials. And I've seen some people be like, oh, this means they're like, it's just a new era, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
No.
nah, dude, they
This-
got doxxed.
This is a big
which-
fuck you to all the fans that like, what are you doing? Leave them alone.
Well, I don't
Right.
even...
What?
I don't even think it's like a fuck you, but it's just like,
Yeah,
why,
it's not a
why
fuck you,
would
it's a
they keep-
safety thing.
But why would they keep
Yeah.
their stuff up? Like they're
Yeah.
one, safety, two,
Like-
they're probably pissed off. I would be. Like
I mean, I
Um,
would say that if you did it, you're not a true fan of Sleep Token. Like to do that like so publicly and like
Yeah.
all that you went through all that effort, like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like how can you be considered a fan?
It doesn't make sense to me because it's not like it's hard to find out who Sleep Token is. That information
Right.
is out there without leaking personal documents or addresses or anything.
Right.
And
yeah.
you know, that parasocial
So for anybody
relationship.
listening that doesn't know, which if you're even remotely in the scene, you've at least heard of Sleep Token, whether you listen to them or not. They wear their masks and they have never, said their identities, which is part of the lore. It's part of the like fun. I'm not like a huge Sleep Token girl. I just not for any particular reason, but just I'm not. But like I know that. And it's like they have, I mean, we've talked in other episodes like how artists just have a right to like exist and you don't personally know them and they're not like your friends and you don't have a right to every aspect of their life. And this is one of those situations where you really don't, because they go out of their way to make sure they weren't like doing that. Like,
Also,
Yeah.
let's talk about the legal aspects of this.
mm,
Like you get
Oh,
the suit.
charges
I
are
mean,
being pressed
right?
against the
Oh, yeah.
person.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
You can't do that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
And not for nothing, it's like, I bet this person was like, ooh, I'm going to be the one that figures it out. And like, and all
It's
the fans
been
are going to be
figured
like,
out.
ooh, yeah. And be like, yay. No, other fans hate you now because you just like,
well, did the person who did it, did they ever come out and explain why they did it? Or is it just kind of
Not that
like,
I saw.
here's
I think it's
Okay.
just, I think it was just out there. Unless
Here's the
anything's
information.
happened since
Right.
the other night when it happened. But
right.
it's just wild to me. I just like,
Also, I'm not sure how like you guys said earlier, how did you get this information? Like you're not supposed to be able to get someone else's birth certificate, I don't think.
I don't
I don't
think so.
They
either.
also kept saying all of these TikToks were saying that a quote unquote intimate video of them hanging out was posted, which like I don't know what that specifically means.
Yeah.
The word
Yeah.
intimate makes it sound like it's a sexual
Weird.
thing, but I think
Yeah.
maybe it was just a video of them without their masks or costumes
masks
on.
I feel like
Um,
that's probably what it is. Just
It's
like
probably more so.
them hanging,
Yeah.
hanging out. But
but
I don't
still,
So
know.
strange.
not cool.
Yeah.
I also, I think like to get your birth certificate, don't you have to like go in person and like prove that you're that person? Or is that
It's not like it's public information, is what you're saying.
yeah,
Like it's
Yeah, I
not
don't
like
think
a
so.
mugshot that you can just find on
yeah,
Right.
a database
No,
somewhere.
you gotta go
Um,
to the Register of Deeds in that state, show your
Yeah.
ID, and it takes weeks to get. Like it's not
Yeah.
like it's a whole process to get it.
Maybe it's
God.
I didn't go and look at whatever was leaked. Maybe it's not even legitimately their birth certificates.
Yeah.
But
But maybe it's
It's
just
still-
like enough to like, yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
still has personal information on it. So, which maybe I guess maybe this person wasn't a fan. Maybe it was just like a shitty. But still,
Inner circle.
Have they-
person?
regardless.
That'd be fucked.
I know, but who else would know their names like that? An inner circle
Yeah.
person.
Well, so I wonder if UK, I mean, obviously we're in the US, so we're talking about getting birth certificates here. I wonder what it's like over there. If it's the same, like, you know, maybe it's not the same that you need. Maybe it's not as hard.
Yeah. Either way, a band had a boundary, and
And
people
you stepped over it.
blew past it.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy, y'all.
Leave artists alone. Like, enjoy the music, be a fan. You have no right to their personal lives.
Right?
And you are not a part of them as much as you think you are.
They're already in the running. Whoever did it is already in the running for a douchebag of 2024. We'll see at the end of the year what else happens.
I love that I just heard Haley say douchebag. I feel like that doesn't come off in a little insult.
Not on here.
Usually keep yourself.
I'm very
Oh,
sassy in real life.
Anyways, more things that popped up.
Yes.
We next fall we have one of our bands going to be on a big festival, which was, I mean, did we talk? Was this announced during our hiatus? No, it was announced before that, right?
It was announced technically. It was announced since the last time we recorded because it was announced. It was
Okay.
announced on my birthday.
Oh, in November, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so we've recorded since, so we did talk about how Alisana's gonna be on it.
wait,
but
when did we
they-
record last?
Did we talk about when we were young?
No, because I'm pretty sure that we back recorded enough.
We recorded it. We back recorded them.
Alisana is playing When We Were Young, The Emptiness in full, which they did 3 legs of
Yeah.
touring in 2022. So I've heard it a million times. But I will be there.
I think I'll be there. Should be.
My best friend from high school is going to be there. So that's cool.
Nice.
There's been a lot of tours announced, cool tours announced for 2024 already.
That lineup itself is pretty stacked, too.
Yeah.
Which
the
I
one-
wanted to get
this-
into. I was...
Yeah.
Yes, because
Um,
My Chem's coming back again.
My Chem...
They did
is
the
it,
first
was
year of
Fall
When
Out
We Were
Boy
Young.
on it?
Fall Out Boy is on it. You know what, though? Fall Out Boy, when they announced it, I don't know if it's changed since. Fall Out Boy, I think, was the only band on there that did not have an album next to it. So I am like, what album are you
Oh,
gonna
yeah. Fall Out Boy is just blank.
And everyone has like an album that they're supposed to be playing songs from or in full, is the concept. From my understanding, Fall Out Boy is the only one that's blank. I'm like, but they've been touring. They're gonna continue.
So do you think that it being blank
touring.
means that they're going to have like a stacked set of multiple things? Or do you think they're keeping
or
it
a
blank?
surprise.
Right. Or
I don't
so there's a couple things at play here. Do you think they're keeping it blank because they know what they're going to play and they want to surprise, like they want a specific subsect of their fans to freak out? Or do they straight up just not know what they're going to play? Which, as people who work for
I don't
bands, we could attest to that is something that is possible.
It is.
Yeah. They could be doing like a best of, but they don't have an album
Right.
like that, so it could just leave blank because they're like all their hits or whatever.
You could.
I want it
And
to be Infinity on High. Personally.
I was gonna say, I would love From Under the Cork Tree, but Infinity on High, like that album.
Oh, wait.
is just.
No, not Infinity on High. I want it to be.
Oh, you're gonna.
I meant
Okay.
from Under the Cork Tree.
Those are my 2 favorite albums from them. So I'd be happy with either. But I was surprised that they just weren't doing From Under the Cork Tree. Like that wasn't just
Well,
so that's why I'm a little
when
like,
you, just to confirm, when you went to When We Were Young, no, the bands didn't have their own merch tables, right? It was festival sellers selling their merch.
It was festival, yeah. So it was festivals, but they had, so there were two different sections. There was like the section that I got merch because all the merch lines were like insane. I ended up like passing through because if you were a Verizon like customer, there was like a specific line for you that you could like pass. So hopefully they do that again if I go this year. So I just did the When We Were Young merch. I was told that there was another merch table because I saw people walking around with like old school like t-shirts, like the original like Boys Like Girls logo like t-shirts and like all that like throwback shirts, but I never found where that table was. So it was just like a whole section of, I guess, those throwback shirts that like, yeah, the festival, it was like set up.
I'm trying
individual.
I'm asking because I'm trying to piece together, as a merch person, am I going to be working that day? Because based off of, because Nick from the label, Nick Honorado, who we've had on the podcast before, went last year and said that it was festival sellers. If it's festival sellers, basically I just hand over my merch and I go fuck off and watch the show.
Yeah.
Which I hope is what's happening. I would love to just enjoy the festival.
Because I think even when they had like merch stuff for each band, I think it was just like one or two pieces per band, like the individual stuff. I don't think they had the full.
And they're not going to have like 100 merch people.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure it's just like festival stuff. Those
if that's the case and Fall Out Boy plays From Under the Cork Tree, you will see me crying.
And crowd surf Amanda to
and
the
crowd
front.
Unless Allison is playing at a different stage and you're going to take pictures.
Well, I don't think they would. I don't think they'd be on at the same time.
I don't think Alisana would be playing at the same time as Fall Out Boy. But if they are, I might have to be like, sorry guys, I gotta I gotta go.
Get a new person. No, so I went the first year. It was set up, the two headliners, which I think it's just Fall Out Boy and My Chem were like the biggest names.
They're at the top of the list on it, yeah.
Yeah, so those would be the headliners. So they at that time it's just those two. So like you'll have bands playing up until those two, and then the first year I assume they set it up the same, but I don't know. They had two stages next to each other, like two giant stages. So like the second, like My Chem went last. So the second, Paramore. The second Paramore was over. Like they switched, and like you could see both stages from wherever you were standing. Obviously,
so it was like a Warped Tour setup, like Journey's Left, Journey's Left, Journeys,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Looking at this lineup though, Fall Out Boy is not the only one that doesn't have a name next to it because LS Dunes is also playing, and Daisy Grenade doesn't have an album next to it.
Oh, you're right. And Car, you're right down below. Interesting.
But I want to see Cobra Starship, The Wonder Years, which I already went to the Greatest Generation anniversary tour, but I will 100% go to that set again. Maybe Hawthorne Heights. There's only a couple songs on that record that I care
Hawthorne Heights
about.
is fun to see live, though. I saw them 5 years ago.
Chiodos and Mayday Parade.
Speaking of Hawthorne Heights, I don't remember if you guys remember this. We went, me and Andrew and Thea and my mom went to the Outer Banks this summer, and they were doing that festival down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one
And
that
the
Frontside played.
Yeah. They had played it on a Saturday, I guess. We were leaving that day, so we didn't end up staying. But the night before, the Friday night, Hawthorne Heights was playing an acoustic set at this like little like dive bar thing. It was weird. We went by the restaurant, and on the sign it said Hawthorne and everything. Andrew was like taking pictures of it like a total fanboy. But we didn't end up going to that either, but we thought about it. But there was quite a bit of people. You could tell too, people walking down the street. You're like, oh, they're going to the concert. Oh, they're going to the concert.
Yep. Yeah, that's how I feel on tour when we go to like restaurants around the venue or something. I'm like, yep, there's someone that's going to this show. There's someone that's going to this show.
Also, did you guys see the Green Day playing in the subway?
In the subway with Jimmy Fallon? Yeah. First of all, I don't know specifically what it is, but I hate Jimmy Fallon. Like,
What?
I just think he's the most annoying human being I've ever seen in my life.
Which
makes me not want to enjoy this. Yes, he's a man who talks over all his guests. But you're right. And he laughs at his own jokes. And that's why I don't like him.
It's so funny when the guest will be like, do you want to tell the story? Because he just keeps talking there. Like, do you want to ask me a question or you just want to answer it? Like,
if I'm ever on Jimmy Fallon, that will be how it goes. I just had an intrusive thought of me like diving over the desk. Like he just he talks over me and I'm just like, you know what, Jimmy?
Yeah.
But
so
yes, I did see that
Poor
Green Day
Jimmy.
played the subway. Jimmy Fallon.
Maybe we should have Jimmy Fallon on this podcast to talk to.
What the fuck is up, Jimmy?
Amanda's gonna have a lot of editing to do if that ever happens.
Oh my gosh.
She's not gonna be able to know who's talking when. Oh God. But no, it should be good. I think I like the concept that they're doing like albums. I think there's a lot of people that like have all these bands that have put out so much music like since our heyday that when they were performing those albums never got to hear them, didn't get the chance to. Maybe they hear
we were too young to go to the concerts when they were touring off of a lot of these records.
Yeah, so it's like the Main is doing Can't Stop Won't Stop and stuff, which like was their first, like all these like first albums. But it's like I saw them, but some people wouldn't, and they've put out so much music since. So it's like it'll be cool for a lot of people that didn't get the chance to see those or want to just relive our youth a little.
But yeah,
you know.
Alice Anna will be there, and I'm excited to do another festival with them because So What Fest was super fun. But it would be really sick if I don't have to sell at this festival, because then if I can just enjoy the festival and focus on making content, then it's like all fun for me. Because that's the fun part of tour. But speaking of revival news,
I know. I was like, what are we allowed to say?
Because there's always something brewing that we can't talk about just yet. But what we can talk about is Gold Steps is on a song with the band McKinley. That is it out yet?
Friday, the 19th.
This Friday. So it'll be out by the time this podcast comes out. Yeah.
It'll be out by the time this podcast comes out, but I have been hearing the clips on TikTok and social media, and it sounds really cool. And Liz's voice sounds great, and I'm excited for it to come out. Also, McKinley's really sick. I've heard of them before.
And so, yeah, they have a song coming out together, and when this podcast comes out on Monday, that Friday, Saturday, they're going to be doing a show with McKinley, too.
Oh, cool.
So we've been posting about those on our socials, so go check out those dates, grab some tickets for the weekend, you know. Check out both the bands, both great. So I don't know what else anything else we can say?
We could say that we did
like Haley
sign
like,
a new band. We could say that we signed a new band, but we can't tell you who it is.
Yeah, and we're not giving you any hints, so just guess like all your wild guesses in the comments.
I'm really excited about them. I think they're great. I listened to a bunch of their music the past couple days, and I am excited about what they're working with, and I think that everyone will love them.
Yeah. So we'll have them on once we announce them to the label. and so you'll get to know them.
The only other thing I wanted to mention was, why is Smashing Pumpkins holding open auditions for the guitar player? Billy Corgan,
I forgot you mentioned
do you
that
need
the-
money?
When you said that the other day, I was like, yeah, we do. I totally forgot that we were going to talk about that. Yeah, very odd.
There's not a
Very
lot.
odd.
There's not a lot to
Very
say
strange.
about it beyond that
Yeah.
sentence. They posted an email address and said that they're looking for a new guitar player,
Yeah.
and that anyone can apply.
Interesting.
But I'm pretty
I mean,
sure I also saw Billy Corgan hosting like a wonderful World of Disney special, or like at least was in the commercial for it, and I thought that was
Strange.
weird because Billy Corgan is not who I think of when I think of the happiest place on earth. Like
that's a weird collab right there.
There was a bunch of
Yeah.
jokes online that were like, despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage, and it's him with Mickey Mouse.
With Mickey?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's hilarious. Smashing Pumpkins does still tour a decent amount and stuff, so
Yeah, they're
Well,
like
it's
a
like-
legendary band.
it's like, wouldn't you know someone in the
People?
industry? Like, wouldn't you know?
Which is
someone
why I think it's just like a marketing get their
Yeah,
name out
gimmick.
buzz
Yeah.
thing.
Could be.
Maybe.
Would have made a good reality show. Like American Idol, except it's Do You Want to Be in Smashing Pumpkins?
It's Imagine the audition of that is just like this, everybody coming in playing the same song like 50 times in a row. What the? Yeah.
All I
No.
really know about Smashing Pumpkins is they were on The Simpsons. So,
Amanda, list every band that's been on The Simpsons that you can think of off the top of your head. Now.
Blink-182, Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins, Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Who. There's more. There's definitely more.
I feel
but-
like have they had Ozzy on an episode, or am I making that up? I feel like there's been an Ozzy Osbourne on a Simpsons.
They had
I'm
an
thinking of-
episode. I don't think it's this episode that would have had Ozzy, but they had an episode where Homer goes to like Rockstar Camp, and I think Mick Jagger is in that episode.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I could go on about The Simpsons for way too long.
I just wanted to do some Simpsons trivia. You know?
Are we ready for Song of the Week? Do you think?
Yes. Let's wrap it up.
Well, we talked about mine. I was gonna do Bring Me the Horizon Kool-Aid. So Haley can go listen to it after. It'll be
I
on
will
the
go
playlist.
listen to it. I will
Yes.
report back the next podcast
Thank
recording.
you. Yeah, I mean, another thing that we could have mentioned during Bring Me the Horizon little segment. Many fans are very, very mad that they just keep putting out singles
Oh.
and aren't throwing out an album.
Mm.
They're like, we're gonna hear every song by then. I think they're like, they haven't even announced an album. Like,
Is the
So-
Kool-Aid,
so
is
I
it
don't-
spelled the same way as like the other ones were? Like kind of like strange, like somewhere up.
no,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Like
I'll
Strangers
have to
and
check.
Lost was
Yeah,
like somewhere.
I feel like it wasn't.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I think they've. Oh yeah, no, it's just Kool-Aid. Usual, but yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't think I know. I mean, what was it last year or the year before? They just put out like a tiny EP, and then they like. I think they're just throwing out music as music comes, like. And you should
Yeah,
all just
I would
you
think
should
a
just
band-
enjoy it. Like, yeah.
I would think a band would be doing that to like not tie themselves stylistically to anything
Yeah.
specific.
Which they
but,
have. I mean,
you know.
they are consistently like going back and forth between like a little more, not poppy, but whatever sound, and then going back to like their roots, and they throw in, and they've done so many like collabs with like random artists you wouldn't really think they'd be working with, and you know,
Right.
it works. But I think everybody just needs to chill out. Just enjoy the music we're getting. What's it matter if it's coming out single by single or in an album? If they wanted a specific way, they would have put it in an album. You know? I don't mind
Go
it.
ahead,
I don't
Haley.
mind it.
Mine is not new. I'm going to say the cover of "Thanks for the Memories" by The Maine.
Oh yeah.
I discovered it last year. Oh, it's so good.
I
It's
didn't
so
even know they
beautiful.
did that until you put it on your end of the year
Yeah.
playlist, and then I was
It's
like,
on my end of the year
when
playlist.
did this
Go listen
happen?
to it.
Yeah,
I know it's
like,
so good. Like it's
Yeah.
such a good rendition,
Yeah.
and you know how sometimes covers can just completely
Yeah.
suck, but this
Yeah.
one is spot on. In my fake UK accent.
Okay, Ollie.
Sorry. All right, Amanda, bring us home.
So mine is Cobra Rock Remix, Megan Thee Stallion featuring Spirit Box.
Yeah,
Just because
I forgot
I
that
thought-
came out.
right, it was a while ago now, but I just think it's so fucking cool. I also really like. I mean, that's my song of the week, but I also really liked when Doja Cat did like a rock version of "Say So." Like, I love when rappers make rock versions of their songs, especially when they bring in. I mean, Spirit Box is still one of the biggest bands in the world, but you know, bring in an artist that's not from the mainstream necessarily,
Right,
and put them on
right.
the rock version. But yeah.
All right. Well, this was the first episode back in season 2. We're excited
was
to
fun.
get back into things. Yeah, we're just bringing you back to us, the host, and just catching up. I think we have a guest next episode. Maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not in the schedule yet, but they said they'd do it.
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay, so keep out for that. Yeah, and we're excited. We have things we can't disclose that are coming up. Let us know your thoughts on all these big things that happened in the scene over the past, month and a half that we've been a little quiet. Because it is a lot. I mean, they're kind of big things. But we'll see. We'll see if Paramore pops up with something. We'll see,
Oh,
all these
no,
other
they'll
things.
pop up with something like tomorrow because we recorded today. So
Because,
anyway.
the universe just likes to mess with us a little bit. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of It's You, Me, and the Scene, brought to you by Revival Recordings. New episodes released every other Monday, and be sure to keep up with us on all socials at It's YMatsPod. That's ITSYMATSPOD.